So previously, I've showed you how how we ran a unit test, RSpec unit test, and we ran it on a single file, the conversion spec file. And you remember we had kilograms, and we wanted to test the method that would convert from kilograms to pounds. And later on, and so we ran the RSpec test. It was called the conversion spec, and that file happened to have 25 examples. The the function in question only had 3 examples, if you remember from a previous screencast. Later on, I ran the integration test, or the cucumber test, and you remember I had the screen in here, and then the Firefox browser opened up in this side of the screen, and you can see all these steps, these integration steps, cucumber feature test steps that ran, and you could see how we were able to test the login and logout, the event specific section, and also we tested the registration page, and you were able to see the edit in place feature, a JavaScript feature that allowed us to click on any field on that table and then edit it, and then it would update itself on the server. Now, I wanted to show you, these are just few sample tests, but what I wanted to show you is the complete tests running. So I'm gonna go back to the top. I want the tests take about 30 minutes to run, so to save on time, I went back and I ran them for you. I In here I'm clearing the screen, and then I'm asking the operating system to keep track of the time for running this command here. The rake command runs the integration tests first, the cucumber tests, and then when it's done, it runs the unit test, all of them, every test for this project. Now each dash or each dot in here represent a step that has been run and that has passed, so a test that has succeeded. And you can tell there's many steps in here, and then finally we're done with the integration tests. There were 148 scenarios, and all of them passed. And then there was a total about 4,000 steps, and it took 23 minutes. And now we're done with the cucumber test, and this is the command to run, the automated command to run the spec test, or the RSpec unit test in our case. And the same thing, you get dots. Each dot represent a step that has been passed, that has passed the test, and finished in almost 3.5 minutes. There were a total of about 1,200 examples for unit testing. The total run was about 27 minutes, and so it took about 27 minutes to run. And more, this is very nice. I'm very happy as a programmer that all my tests have passed, and this is very valuable when you have you make changes to the source code and you run the test and they all pass, then you're happy. The same thing happens on the integration server. So this same process happened on the integration server once there's new code that's been committed to the Git repository. Now let me show you a nice tool that we have. It's a code coverage tool, RCov. And what the code coverage tool, I'm going to go ahead and sort and speak at the same time. So I've sorted them by the percentage of coverage. What it is all these files in here represent the source code of the project. And as you can see, I sorted by ascending, meaning the lower coverage, it shows me the files with the lower coverage first. And you can see 78% is the green portion, and the 22% is the red portion. And the idea is, in this file, what's telling me that you have 32 lines of code in this file. 24 of them are real code, and meaning the other are white space, blank lines, or maybe code comments. And out of this file, you've covered, meaning your testing suite, whether it's the unit testing suite or the integration testing Cucumber suite, you've covered 78% of the code. So let's go ahead and open that file. And remember, I've opened it in a separate tab in here. Remember, we have 32 lines total, and 24 of them are real code. And it's telling me, hey, 78% has been covered by your testing suite, but the real code lines of codes are 70%. So let's look at that file. As you can tell, sure enough, we have 32 lines of code. And if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 32 minus 8, 24. So sure enough, there's 32 lines of code, but 24 of them are really just real code. These are comments in here. Ruby code comments, meaning the compiler or the interpreter ignores them completely. And these are white space, they don't get counted. So back here, 78% of that file has been covered, and if you look here, the red portion here means that, hey, shame on you, honey. Out of that whole file, there is pieces of code in here that you haven't tested. The testing suite did not run through this code. So that's where that red in here. And if you look at our project, and you can see that yeah, we have few of them that are at 78% coverage, and then we have 4 of them at 80% coverage. That's good. And then 90% coverage, and then it goes higher and higher, and then eventually you get to 100% coverage. And if you scroll down with me, you can see then pretty much the bulk of the project, the bulk of it is at 100% coverage, and that's very good. That's very satisfying as a programmer to know that about the huge bulk of the software has been tested. And so I'm gonna go to the bottom, and there's a tally at the bottom here. We'll get to it in a second. Yes, if you see the total, it's telling you that this project has 11,000 lines of code, but 8,500 lines are real code, subtracting the code comments and the blank lines that don't count. But in general, in total, you have 95% coverage, and if you only want to count 100% the code, the real lines of code without comments, without blank space, you have 94% coverage. That is very good. That is considered very, very good for a project to have 95% coverage.